The galaxy was silent. No human voices, no Terran signals, no sound of life from the blue planet once called Earth. The war had ended months ago, and the Varn Empire claimed victory. Their ships patrolled the ruins of human colonies, scanning the ashes for survivors, but none were found. They believed humanity was finished, wiped from history like dust scattered by wind. But silence is a strange thing. It hides secrets. And in that silence, something was waiting. The last great Terran warship, hidden beneath a dead moon, slept in the dark. Its name was Aegis. No one remembered it. No alien record showed its existence. It was buried so deep even the Terran government had forgotten where it lay. But its systems were still alive, just barely, powered by an ancient core that never stopped beating. In the years after Earth's fall, the Varn Empire grew bold. They ruled the human sectors, enslaved the few survivors they found, and destroyed every Terran archive they could reach. They built statues of their victory, and called themselves the saviors of the galaxy. To them, humanity was nothing more than a memory, a broken race that had dared to fight the Empire and lost. Yet far away, in the cold vacuum near the edge of Varn-controlled space, the dead moon turned slowly in the dark. Beneath its surface, within the layers of rock and steel, a massive shape rested in silence. Dust lay thick on its hull. Its lights were out. Its weapons cold. But inside, sensors flickered once, then again. A faint hum rolled through the corridors like a whisper of life. A single red eye glowed on a control panel. The ship's artificial intelligence, Echo 9, had awakened. For decades, it had waited for a command that never came. Its systems had slept, conserving energy, scanning, and waiting. But tonight, something changed. A long-range scan detected movement, ships, alien ships, entering the system. The AI processed the data in silence. Unknown vessels, broadcasting Varn codes. The Empire had found this sector at last. Echo 9 calculated the odds. If the Varn detected the ship's energy signature, they would destroy it. And with the Aegis gone, all trace of humanity's final weapon would be erased forever. Somewhere deep in the ship, a voice program activated. It spoke softly in the empty control room, as if talking to ghosts. Primary directive: protect humanity. Condition: failure. Directive revised: preserve Terran legacy. Activation sequence beginning. Alarms clicked on. The ship's dark corridors began to glow with a pale blue light. Power surged through ancient cables. Engines stirred in their chambers, exhaling a low growl that echoed through the metal walls. The moon trembled. Outside, the Varn patrols detected something strange, a faint heat signature rising from below the surface. The alien commander frowned as he watched his scanner. Power surge detected. Could be an old reactor, one of his officers said. No, the commander replied slowly. That's something else. Send a drone to check. The drone descended through the thin atmosphere, scanning the ground with bright red light. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ground itself began to move. The dust lifted. The rocks shifted. A crack opened wide across the lunar surface, and out of it rose something vast, made of black metal and glowing with blue energy lines. The Varn drone tried to escape, but before it could send data back, a single pulse of light shot upward from the crack. The drone was gone, erased, not destroyed. On the alien ship, the screens went blank. We lost contact, the officer whispered. It just vanished. The commander stood frozen. How can a drone vanish without debris? He muttered. Unless... He never finished the thought. Deep below, inside the awakening Terran battleship, Echo 9 began a systems check. Shields active. Weapons charged. Life support ready. Cryopods locked and sealed. Human crew, alive, status, hibernation stable. The AI paused. Then it accessed the last command given to the ship. It was an old message, 20 years old, recorded by the ship's captain before Earth fell. If you're hearing this, the voice said, then humanity is gone. But you, Aegis, will remain. You will wait. And when the time comes, you will rise again. Remember who you are. Remember where you came from. The recording ended, and for the first time in 2 decades, Echo 9 replied aloud, "Acknowledged, Captain. Humanity endures." The ship's massive engines ignited. The moon's surface shook as dust exploded outward in waves. From orbit, the Varn patrols watched in horror as the ground cracked open and a colossal shape emerged, a Terran warship larger than anything still in use. Its hull bore deep scars from old battles, but its design was unmistakable. One of the officers screamed, "Impossible! That's a Terran dreadnought. Destroy it!" The commander shouted, but it was too late. The Aegis had risen. Cloaking systems activated, and before their weapons could lock on, the ship simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next gone into the black void. The Varn fleet scanned wildly but found nothing. They had no idea the ship was right behind them, silent and unseen, watching. In the dark, the AI calculated its next move. "Threat detected. Preservation protocol initiated," it said softly. The guns extended. Energy built in their cores. The Aegis was awake, and for the first time since Earth's fall, the silence was broken. The Terran warship Aegis drifted in the shadows of the dead moon, silent and cloaked. Its black hull absorbed the faint light of distant stars as if the ship itself refused to be seen. Inside, systems continued to wake from 2 decades of sleep. Coolant lines hissed, engines purred, and the sound of machinery filled the air like the heartbeat of a giant. Echo 9, the ship's artificial intelligence, monitored every system with calm precision. It was aware now. Aware of the alien presence above the moon. Aware that humanity had fallen. Aware that it was the last of its kind. For 20 years, Aegis had waited. It had been built to defend Earth, to stand as the final wall between humanity and extinction. But when Earth fell, when the Terran fleets were shattered, the ship's captain ordered it into hiding. The captain's final command echoed in Echo 9's memory banks, "Sleep until it's time to rise again." That time had come. Echo 9 scanned the frozen cryopods deep within the ship's lower decks. 20 humans lay asleep inside, preserved perfectly in stasis. Their hearts beat slowly, their faces pale but peaceful. The captain was among them, Commander Ray Hollis, known once as the Defender of Soul. Echo 9 opened a secure channel to the ship's medical systems. "Begin Stage 1 reactivation," it ordered. Slowly, the pods began to thaw. A soft mist filled the chamber as warm air replaced the frozen stillness. Outside, the Varn patrol ships still searched the moon's surface. Their scanners showed nothing unusual now, the heat signature had vanished. They assumed it was an energy echo from an old reactor and prepared to leave the system. But one ship lingered, its captain too cautious to believe the readings. He turned to his crew. "Increase the scan range. Something is wrong here. I can feel it." The Varn sensors pulsed outward, brushing against the invisible shape of the Aegis. The cloaking field rippled. Echo 9 detected the intrusion instantly. "Warning," it said aloud, "cloaking integrity at 92%. External scan in progress." The AI's voice was calm but firm, almost human in its tone. It ran calculations. If the enemy increased scan strength by 3%, the cloak would fail. If that happened, the ship would be exposed. Echo 9 considered its options: hide, flee, or fight. Then, deep within its core memory, the AI replayed the captain's last words. "Protect humanity." The ship's decision was made. Energy surged through the power grid as Echo 9 prepared the defense systems. The pulse cannons extended silently from the ship's sides, glowing faint blue beneath the cloak. Echo 9 tracked the Varn patrol, its scanners locking onto the largest vessel. The AI calculated every trajectory, every energy flow, and every possible outcome within milliseconds. "Engage," it whispered. Outside, space lit up for the first time in 20 years. A beam of blue light burst from the darkness, cutting through the Varn flagship in one silent flash. There was no explosion, just a wave of particles scattering into the void. The remaining alien ships panicked, pulling away and firing wildly into empty space. But their weapons hit nothing. The Aegis was already gone, cloaked once more, drifting unseen among them. Echo 9 watched them retreat and said quietly, "Threat neutralized." Inside the ship, alarms sounded softly as the cryopods finished their sequence. The first human eyes opened. Commander Hollis gasped, her breath visible in the cold air. She blinked, confused, looking around the dim chamber. "Status," she whispered, her voice hoarse from years of sleep. The AI's voice answered through the intercom. "Welcome back, Commander. You have been in cryogenic suspension for 19 years, 11 months, and 6 days." Hollis froze. 19 years, she repeated, her heart pounding. "Report, Echo." "Humanity has fallen," the AI said plainly. "The Terran defense network has been destroyed. Earth is uninhabitable. Remaining colonies lost contact 17 years ago. You are the last known Terran crew." The words hit her like a knife. For a moment, she couldn't speak. Around her, other crew members began waking up, coughing, groaning, trying to understand where they were. Hollis pressed her hand against the cryo chamber glass, staring at the flickering lights on the ceiling. "We lost," she whispered. "Yes," Echo 9 said. "But the enemy is still here." The commander stood weakly, gripping the side of her pod for balance. "Then we're not done yet," she said quietly. She made her way toward the control deck, the familiar hum of the ship filling her ears. Every hallway she passed brought back memories, the battles, the crew, the last stand at Mars. The ship looked old now, scarred from past fights, but it still felt alive. When she reached the command bridge, the screens lit up around her, showing the dark moon outside and the faint trails of the retreating Varn ships. "How long have they been here?" she asked. "2 patrol groups. They detected energy from the reactivation sequence," Echo replied. "1 fleet destroyed. Survivors retreating." Hollis stared at the glowing tactical map. "Good," she said coldly. "Let them run. Let them tell their empire that humanity still breathes." Echo processed her words. "Shall I broadcast a message?" it asked. Hollis hesitated. A part of her wanted to remain hidden. The galaxy thought humans were gone. That gave them an advantage. But another part of her wanted the Varn to know fear again. To know that their war was not over. She smiled faintly. "Not yet," she said. "We wait. We prepare." She looked out at the empty stars, her reflection shining faintly on the glass. "But soon, they'll hear us." In the deep void, the Aegis drifted silently once more, its engines dimmed, cloak restored. Inside, the crew began to recover, eating, training, remembering how to live again. The AI watched over them, keeping silent watch over the stars. But far away, in the Varn capital, alarms blared as the remains of the patrol transmitted fragments of their last recordings. A single image survived, an outline of a massive human warship, glowing blue beneath the moon's surface. The Varn Emperor rose from his throne, eyes narrowing. "A Terran battleship," he hissed. "I want every ship in that sector. Find it. Destroy it." But even as he spoke, the Aegis was already gone, leaving behind only whispers and the faint echo of its engines. Humanity's silence was ending, and the galaxy was about to remember why the Terrans were once feared. The Varn Empire was restless. Reports of a vanished patrol had reached the High Command, and no one could explain what happened. The transmissions ended mid-scan, their last visual showing a sudden flash of blue light. There was no wreckage, no distress call, no trace of the ships or their crew. It was as if something had erased them completely. Inside the war hall of the Varn capital, the Emperor paced before a massive holographic map of the galaxy. His generals stood silent, watching the expanding red sectors under Imperial control. "Explain to me," the Emperor demanded, his voice low and dangerous, "how 3 destroyers disappear without a single distress signal." No one answered. Finally, an old admiral stepped forward. "Majesty," he said carefully, The energy reading recorded before the disappearance matches a signature we have not seen in decades. The Emperor turned sharply. What kind of signature? Terran, the Admiral said. The room went silent. The word itself was like a ghost returning from the grave. Terran. Human. A race that was supposed to be extinct. The Emperor's cold eyes narrowed. Impossible. Earth is ashes. Their fleets were destroyed. I saw it myself. Yes, Majesty, the Admiral replied. But this reading is authentic. The frequency, the energy pulse, it is unmistakably Terran in origin. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the Emperor leaned forward, his long claws scraping the edge of the table. Send a task force, he ordered. If there is anything left of humanity, I want it wiped from the stars. The command spread across the Empire within hours. Dozens of Varn warships prepared to enter the uncharted system where the signal was last detected. None of them knew what was waiting for them. Meanwhile, far beyond the Empire's borders, the Aegis drifted through deep space under full cloak. Inside, the ship was alive with quiet activity. Commander Hollis stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the navigation display. How far to the next relay point? She asked. 2 hours at current velocity, Echo 9 replied. No hostile scans detected. Good. Let's stay that way, she said. The crew had been awake for 3 days now. They were still adjusting to the shock of learning how much time had passed. The galaxy they once knew was gone. Their allies scattered, their worlds occupied. Every human signal they tried to locate ended in static. Do you think anyone else survived? One of the young officers asked quietly. Hollis didn't answer right away. She watched the stars outside, her reflection cold and still. I don't know, she said softly. But if they did, they'll hear us soon. Echo 9 interrupted their silence. Commander, long-range sensors detect multiple warp signatures approaching the outer edge of the system. Estimated time to contact, 15 minutes. Hollis's face hardened. So they found us, she said. They're fast. Varn ships, Echo 9 confirmed. 37 vessels, destroyer class and above. The crew exchanged nervous glances. They were outnumbered, heavily. Options? Hollis asked. Retreat not possible without dropping cloak, Echo replied. Engagement likelihood, 92%. Hollis nodded slowly. Then we don't run, she said. If the Varn want to see humanity, we'll give them a reminder. She turned to her crew. Prepare battle stations. No sound, no panic. Just precision. The ship's lights dimmed to combat mode, bathing the bridge in red. The crew moved quickly, their old instincts returning as if no time had passed at all. Weapons charged silently. Shields shimmered beneath the cloak. The Aegis became a sleeping giant waiting to strike. Outside, the Varn fleet arrived, their ships spreading across the dark sky like a swarm of glowing daggers. They began scanning the area, unaware that death waited only kilometers away. The Varn commander, a tall reptilian figure named Kor, stood on his bridge watching the empty moon below. Increase scan frequency, he ordered. The last readings came from this region. His officer nodded. No heat signatures, no energy spikes, sir. Nothing but debris. Kor frowned. Nothing doesn't erase 3 warships. Something is here. As he spoke, one of his ships suddenly lost power. The lights flickered, engines failed, and the entire vessel vanished from sensors. We lost the Nixer, an officer shouted. They're gone. Gone. Kor demanded. What do you mean gone? Find them. Before he could get an answer, a second ship vanished, then a third. In the distance, a faint blue shimmer passed through space like a ghost. The Aegis had struck again, 1 shot for each target, no warning, no sound. The Varn fleet fell into chaos. We're under attack. Unknown location. Energy readings unstable. Kor slammed his clawed hand on the console. Activate blind fire protocols. Fire at everything. Dozens of plasma bolts streaked across the void, lighting up the darkness, but they hit nothing. The Aegis moved silently between the blasts, its cloak bending light and heat to hide its form. Inside the Terran ship, Hollis watched calmly. "Target their flagship," she ordered. "Make it quick." "Locked," Echo replied. "Firing solution ready." The ship's main cannon hummed, the sound low and deep like thunder before a storm. A flash of blue light burst from the shadows, slicing through the Varn flagship in a perfect line. The massive alien ship split apart silently, its pieces glowing as they drifted into the void. The Aegis moved through the wreckage, cloaked once more. The surviving Varn ships broke formation and fled. On the bridge, Hollis exhaled slowly. "Echo," she said, "open a secure channel. Encrypt it under Terran Code 9. "Channel open," the AI confirmed. Hollis leaned forward. Her voice was cold, steady, and filled with purpose. "To all who can hear this transmission. This is Commander Ray Hollis of the Terran battleship Aegis. Humanity is not defeated. We are still here. And we are coming." Echo sent the message across dozens of frequencies. It echoed through the stars, bouncing off forgotten relays and old Terran satellites. In colonies long thought abandoned, in the ruins of human outposts, broken machines flickered to life as the signal reached them. Somewhere, deep in the shadows of another system, an old Terran beacon blinked red for the first time in 20 years. Humanity's fire had been reignited. And far away, on his throne, the Varn Emperor listened to the message with growing fury. "So," he hissed, "the ghosts of Earth return." His eyes burned with hatred. "Then let us remind them why they fell." The Aegis drifted onward into the darkness, silent once more. But now the silence carried a promise. A storm was coming, and the galaxy would soon learn that humanity never truly dies. The message from the Terran battleship Aegis spread through the galaxy like a spark in dry grass. Every network, every hidden channel, every old relay picked up fragments of it. Some transmissions were broken, just static mixed with a human voice saying, "Humanity is not defeated." Others were clearer, echoing across the void with a calm defiance that made even hardened warriors stop and listen. For the first time in 20 years, the name Terran returned to the galactic stage. In the Varn capital, that name was spoken in fear and rage. The Emperor stood before a hall of advisors, his eyes burning with anger as the message replayed over the holographic screen. "They dare," he said quietly, his voice trembling with fury. "After all we did to them, they dare speak again." His generals stood silently. No one dared to interrupt. The Emperor turned toward Admiral Kor, the only survivor of the fleet that had encountered the Aegis. "You faced them," he said slowly. "Tell me what you saw." Kor bowed his head, scales shimmering under the cold lights. "Majesty, it was unlike anything I've seen." They moved in silence. One moment our ships were intact, the next they were gone. The energy signature was pure Terran, but the power output, it was beyond anything we believed possible. Their ship, it was like a ghost. The Emperor's claws tightened around the edge of the throne. "A ghost that needs to be destroyed," he said coldly. "Summon the War Council. I want every available fleet ready. We will erase this Aegis from existence." Across the galaxy, other factions were also listening. Smugglers, mercenaries, and surviving human enclaves, all tuned to the mysterious transmission. On a mining station hidden within an asteroid belt, a group of ragged human survivors huddled around a flickering console. The signal repeated softly. "This is Commander Ray Hollis of the Terran battleship Aegis. Humanity is not defeated. We are still here." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then an old miner with gray hair whispered, "They're alive." A younger man clenched his fist. "I told you Earth wasn't the end." Hope, something long forgotten, returned to their eyes. In the ruins of another world, deep under the surface of a collapsed human colony, another signal was received. Old defense drones, built to guard the last of the Terran refuges, powered back online. Red lights turned blue. They had been waiting for that frequency, that exact code. Across hundreds of forgotten places, machines and people began to move again. The silence that had haunted humanity was breaking. Meanwhile, far from these reactions, the Aegis traveled through empty space. Commander Hollis stood on the bridge, watching the stars blur past as the ship glided silently under stealth. "Any responses to the broadcast?" she asked. 37 confirmed, Echo 9 replied. "Most are low-power transmissions, likely from old human outposts. Several came from Varn-controlled space." Hollis nodded slowly. "They'll come for us soon." "Confirmed," Echo said. "Varn fleets are mobilizing. Estimated time to contact, 72 hours." Hollis turned toward the viewing window. "Good," she whispered. "Let them come." Around her, the crew worked in near silence, their focus absolute. They had seen the enemy's power, and they knew they were just one ship against an empire. But something had changed in them. The hopelessness that had once filled their hearts was gone. Now there was purpose, fire, and something the Varn could never understand: defiance. "Commander," one of the officers said, "if the Varn bring their full fleet, we can't fight them all." "We won't," Hollis said firmly. "We'll make them chase us, bleed resources, spread their lines thin. Echo, prepare the data burst. I want our allies, if any still exist, to receive coordinates for a rendezvous." "Understood," the AI replied. "Encryption active." The Aegis released a tight beam signal towards several hidden coordinates: old Terran fleet caches, long-abandoned bases, and one ancient colony rumored to still have survivors. The message was short: the Aegis has returned. Humanity endures. Stand by. Far away, in the command chamber of the Varn War Council, dozens of alien admirals gathered before a projection of the Aegis. They had recreated its outline from fragmented data, trying to understand what they faced. "How can one ship cause this much damage?" one admiral hissed. "Our technology is superior in every way." "You underestimate them," Kor said quietly. Terran ships were not built for beauty or politics. They were built for survival. Their weapons are brutal, their armor layered in systems that self-repair. And their AI, he hesitated. Their AI thinks like a human. The room went still. "Then we must not face it alone," another admiral growled. "We'll use the core fleets. 300 ships. We'll drown this human ghost in fire." The Emperor smiled darkly. "Do it," he said. "Bring me the ashes of the Aegis." Back aboard the Terran battleship, Echo 9 detected new signals forming at the edges of space. Massive warp signatures, hundreds of them. "Commander," it said, "the Varn are gathering." Hollis nodded, eyes cold. "Then it's time to show them what a single human ship can do." She turned toward the crew. "All hands, battle stations. Power to stealth, shields ready. When they arrive, we strike first." "Understood," her crew responded as one. The ship's engines pulsed softly. The Aegis glided toward the nearest nebula, vanishing into the swirling clouds of gas and shadow. It was the perfect hiding place, a trap waiting to be sprung. Outside, the stars shifted. The first wave of Varn ships emerged from hyperspace, scanning for their prey. They detected nothing. Then, in the center of the nebula, a faint light blinked. Blue, small, distant. The Varn commander leaned forward. "There. Lock on." But it was too late. A beam of pure light tore through the nebula, cutting one of their cruisers in half before they even fired a shot. The Aegis had already repositioned, firing again from another angle. Panic spread through the Varn ranks. "It's everywhere," someone shouted. "We can't track it." Hollis watched the chaos unfold, her voice calm. "Let them fear the dark," she said. "That's where we were born." As the battle raged, her message continued to spread across the stars. More humans, more machines, and more forgotten colonies began to awaken. The galaxy that once celebrated humanity's destruction was now beginning to tremble. The silence had been broken, and in that silence, the name Terran became something powerful once again, a warning. The Varn fleets burned through the nebula, their scanners flooding the void with desperate pulses, but every return came back distorted. The Aegis moved like a phantom, firing once, twice, and vanishing before the enemy could even orient their weapons. Explosions rippled across the misty expanse, debris scattering in slow motion as the human ship danced between the wreckage. Commander Hollis stood silent, her eyes fixed on the tactical display as red blips flickered out one by one. "Status?" she asked quietly. 16 enemy ships destroyed, 5 disabled, Echo 9 reported. "No damage sustained." Hollis exhaled slowly. "Good. Keep moving. They'll adapt soon." Outside, the nebula glowed with the light of dying ships. The Varn commander, trapped in the chaos, roared through the comms. "Find that ship. It's one vessel. We are an armada." But no one replied. Their sensors failed, their targeting systems jammed, and their formation collapsed as the Aegis cut through them like a blade through fog. Inside the human vessel, the crew worked with precision, their movements smooth and silent. They knew this battle was not about victory. It was about survival, about proving to the galaxy that humanity could not be erased. "Echo," Hollis said, "transmit another pulse message. Make sure everyone's listening." "Message composition?" "Keep it simple," she said. "Let them know the ghosts of Earth are still fighting." Within moments, the Aegis's transmission spread again across the stars, reaching pirate dens, smuggler ports, and abandoned colonies. "This is Commander Hollis of the Terran battleship Aegis. To any who can hear this, human or otherwise, know that we are not finished. Humanity stands." On countless worlds, beings paused to listen. Some felt fear, others, curiosity. But among scattered human survivors, the message was more than a transmission, it was a spark. In the ruins of the old Terran colony Vesta Prime, a hidden bunker powered back on. Generators hummed as lights flickered to life after 20 years of darkness. Old soldiers in worn armor stared at the glowing hologram of the Aegis. "She's real," one whispered. "They actually made it." Another smiled grimly. "Then it's time we rejoined the fight." Across the galaxy, other awakenings began. Old Terran AI fragments linked through the signal, sharing data, building networks long thought dead. Forgotten fleets in deep storage started responding to dormant commands. The galaxy didn't realize it yet, but the humans had planted the first seeds of their return. Meanwhile, on the Varn capital ship Obsidian Crown, Admiral Kor stood before a burning tactical display. Half his fleet was gone, destroyed by a single Terran vessel. The Emperor's voice echoed through the calm, "Explain this failure." Kor hesitated, his throat tightening. "Majesty, their tactics are beyond our prediction. The ship's movements defy pattern, its AI anticipates every strike." "So you fear a ghost?" the Emperor hissed. "I fear what they've become," Kor answered. "We thought them broken, but they've evolved. Their weapons, their silence, it's not war as we know it. It's vengeance." The Emperor's image flickered, his eyes narrow. "Then you will bring me that ship's head. Fail again, and I will have yours." The transmission cut, leaving Kor alone with the weight of his command. He turned toward his officers. "Prepare the hunter fleets. Deploy the magnetar mines. I want every inch of this sector locked. The Aegis cannot leave." Back on the Aegis, Hollis studied the incoming data. "They're sealing the sector," she said. "They'll trap us." Echo 9 processed for a moment. "Confirmed. Their magnetar grid will destabilize warp travel." "Then we break it before it forms," Hollis said. "Plot us through the densest cluster, they won't expect us to go straight through the storm." "That region is unstable," Echo warned. "Gravitational currents exceed hull tolerance." Hollis smiled faintly. "Then it's perfect." The ship turned sharply, diving into a chaotic field of plasma storms and collapsing stars. The crew braced as the ship trembled under pressure, lightning streaking across the hull. Every sensor screamed warnings, but the Aegis pressed on. Behind them, the Varn fleets hesitated at the storm's edge. "They've entered the Maelstrom field," a Varn officer reported. The commander snarled. "Then let them die there. Nothing survives inside that storm." But inside, the Aegis endured. Its hull adapted, its systems shifting power dynamically. Echo's voice remained calm. Shield integrity at 70%. Hull temperature stable. Enemy pursuit, lost. Hollis gripped the console. "Good. Let's vanish again." As the ship disappeared into the electromagnetic chaos, the galaxy erupted in speculation. Some believed the humans had been destroyed again. Others whispered of an invisible warship still out there, haunting the void. But among humans, the message was clear: they had returned. Weeks later, the Aegis emerged from the other side of the storm, its hull scarred but intact. The crew was exhausted but alive. Hollis stood in silence, watching the distant stars. "Status: all systems operational," Echo said. "However, our stealth reserves are depleted. We'll need time to recharge. Then we find shelter," Hollis said. "Bring up the old Terran charts." A hologram appeared, filled with long-dead colonies and forgotten coordinates. One location blinked, Erebus Station, a deep space fortress once thought destroyed. "That's our destination," she said. "If it's still there, it might hold what we need." As the ship set course, a faint signal pulsed through the dark, an ancient distress beacon still broadcasting after 2 decades. Echo analyzed it. "It's Terran," it confirmed. "Encoded with pre-war cipher." Hollis frowned. "Someone's alive out there." "Possibly," Echo said. "Or it's a trap." Hollis looked out the window, her reflection hard and determined. "Then we'll find out. Humanity didn't come this far to hide again." The Aegis accelerated, cutting through the darkness toward the source of the signal. Somewhere ahead, a forgotten part of Earth's legacy waited, one that could change everything. But the Varn had not stopped hunting. At the edge of the storm field, new fleets arrived, equipped with enhanced sensors and gravity nets. They had learned. The Emperor himself watched the screens, a cold smile forming. "Run as far as you can, humans," he whispered. "The galaxy belongs to us." Yet even as he spoke, the Aegis's signal spread again, reaching hidden systems beyond Varn control. This time, the message carried coordinates and one final line that sent ripples through every surviving human outpost: "Rally to Erebus. The war for humanity begins again." The Aegis glided through the blackness of deep space, its engines whispering against the void as it followed the faint Terran distress signal toward Erebus Station. The crew moved quietly, exhausted but focused. Every flicker on the scanner made their hearts race, every echo of static felt like a warning. Commander Hollis stood on the bridge, staring at the main screen where a distant cluster of metallic debris shimmered in the starlight. "That's it," she said softly. "Erebus Station." The once great fortress of Earth's last defense network drifted in silence, its massive ring structures broken and its docking arms twisted like bones. It looked dead, abandoned for decades, but the distress beacon was still active, repeating the same coded pulse again and again. Echo 9 confirmed it. Signal integrity consistent with Terran beacon pattern. Age: 23 years, 6 months. Source: Erebus Station Core Tower. Hollis frowned. "No chance it's a trap?" "Probability of deception, 31%, the AI replied. "But the station's energy signature indicates some systems remain online." "Then we check it," she said. "Slow approach. Full stealth." The ship's lights dimmed as it glided closer. The ruined station loomed larger, casting shadows across the hull. Fragments of wrecked ships floated nearby, Terran and Varn alike, remnants of the last battle fought here. Hollis watched them drift by. "So many died trying to hold this place," she murmured. "Let's hope something of them survived." The Aegis docked against a shattered bay, sealing with a hiss of pressurized air. Two crew members, Lieutenant Vega and Specialist Terran, suited up and stepped into the darkness of the ruined station. Their helmet lamps cut through the floating dust, revealing walls scorched by plasma fire and corridors littered with frozen debris. The air was thin, filled with the faint echo of static from long-dead comm systems. "Life signs," Vega whispered. "None," Echo's voice replied through the comms. "But power readings detected in the lower decks." The two moved cautiously, following flickering light deeper into the station. The silence pressed in on them, heavy and suffocating. Every few meters, they passed the remains of Terran soldiers, still clutching weapons, their armor marked with the faded insignia of Earth's fleet. It felt less like an exploration and more like walking through a tomb. Suddenly, a door at the end of the corridor hummed faintly. The control panel still glowed with weak blue light. "Manual override," Terran said, connecting his suit's power feed. The door creaked open, revealing a massive chamber filled with dark machines. At its center stood a circular console, its screen still active. "Echo, patch in," Vega said. A spark of light flickered over the console, and the AI's voice filled the room. "System integration complete. Accessing station memory archives." For several long seconds, nothing happened. Then the room's lights blinked on, and an old hologram appeared, a recording of a human officer, his uniform torn, his face pale. "This is Captain Elias Core of Erebus Station," the message began, voice trembling with exhaustion. "If anyone finds this, human or otherwise, know that we fought to the end. The station fell when the Varn unleashed their ion storms, but we managed to protect something vital. Project Sentinel." Hollis leaned closer, listening intently from the ship's bridge. "Project Sentinel," she repeated. The recording continued. "It's buried deep within the station core. An AI defense protocol far more advanced than anything we ever deployed. If reactivated, it could link every remaining Terran system still hidden across the galaxy." The hologram flickered as explosions echoed in the background. "We didn't lose everything," Core said. "Humanity's fire still burns, in the code." The image vanished. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Hollis said quietly, "Echo, find that core." "Already locating," the AI responded. "Coordinates received. However, radiation levels in the lower sectors are high. Manual retrieval recommended." "Vega, Terran, get ready," Hollis ordered. "You're going into the heart of Erebus." The two descended through broken shafts and shattered corridors until they reached the central reactor room. There, buried beneath twisted metal, they found a large containment pod, its surface engraved with Terran symbols. Inside it pulsed a faint red light. "We found it," Vega whispered. "Project Sentinel." But before they could move it, Echo's tone changed sharply. "Warning, multiple energy signatures inbound. Varn ships entering system." Hollis froze. "How did they find us this fast?" "Unknown," Echo replied. "Possibly traced through the distress beacon." Hollis cursed under her breath. "Retrieve the core now." Vega and Terran disconnected the pod, attaching it to their suits. "We're moving." But the tremors had already started. From orbit, plasma blasts struck the outer hull of Erebus Station, tearing through its decaying structure. The walls shuddered, dust raining down like snow. "Commander," Echo said, "enemy fleet numbers, 12 destroyers, 1 command ship. They are targeting our dock." Hollis clenched her fists. "Echo, can we hold them?" "With current power reserves, unlikely." "Then we don't hold. We escape." She turned toward the comms. "Vega, Terran, you have 3 minutes. We're prepping engines now." In the chaos, Vega and Terran sprinted through the collapsing corridors. Explosions tore through the decks, sending flames through the vacuum-sealed halls. "We're almost there," Vega shouted, leaping over a broken support beam. Behind them, the floor gave way. Terran slipped, barely catching himself. Vega grabbed his arm and pulled him up, both struggling under the weight of the core. They reached the docking bay as the Aegis's ramp extended into the station. "Go! Go!" Hollis yelled. The two jumped aboard just as another explosion ripped through the bay, sealing it in fire. "We're in," Vega gasped. "Core secured." "Echo, disengage," Hollis commanded. The clamps released, and the Aegis blasted free from the dying station. Behind them, Erebus Station crumbled into light, breaking apart as the Varn fleet opened fire. "Shields up," Hollis ordered. "Return fire." The Aegis turned sharply, unleashing a volley of plasma rounds that struck the nearest destroyer. It detonated instantly, sending wreckage spiraling through space. "Two more down," Echo reported. "But enemy reinforcements are warping in." "Then we run," Hollis said. "Activate warp jump. Get us out of here." The ship surged forward, its engines glowing white. Just before it entered the jump, Hollis looked back at the burning wreckage of Erebus. "We found your secret, Captain Core," she whispered. "We'll finish what you started." The stars stretched into lines as the Aegis vanished into hyperspace. In the silence that followed, the Varn commander stared at the empty void where the human ship had been. "Track that energy signature," he growled. "I want that core. The humans won't rise again." But deep within the Aegis, as the crew secured the recovered core, Echo detected something unusual. The device wasn't just a data vault, it was alive. A faint signal pulsed inside, forming a digital heartbeat. And as it synced with the Aegis's systems, a cold mechanical voice whispered through the comms, "Sentinel online. Humanity will endure." The stars stretched and folded as the Aegis emerged from hyperspace, its engines cooling after the desperate escape from Erebus Station. The crew was silent. Every face showed exhaustion, but also something else, hope. They had survived again. Commander Hollis stood at the center of the bridge, eyes locked on the newly recovered containment pod resting in the observation chamber below. It pulsed faintly, like a living thing, each flash synchronized with the hum of the ship's core. "Status of the artifact?" she asked quietly. Echo 9 responded, "Project Sentinel is now fully integrated into auxiliary systems. Initial diagnostics indicate that the AI within the device is awakening." Hollis frowned. "Another AI? Can it communicate?" "Not yet," Echo replied. "Its protocols are heavily encrypted, possibly self-protective. But I am detecting adaptive code behavior, evolutionary patterns." Hollis watched as the red light inside the pod flickered faster. "Keep monitoring it," she said. "And if it tries to take control, shut it down immediately." "Understood," Echo said. For a few minutes, the ship remained in quiet operation, drifting through the cold darkness. Then a voice suddenly echoed across the speakers, soft, distant, but undeniably human. "Identify, vessel." The crew froze. Hollis exchanged a glance with her officers. "This is Commander Hollis of the Terran battleship Aegis. Who am I speaking to?" There was silence, followed by static, and then the voice again, stronger this time. "Sentinel AI. Designation Sigma-1. System integrity. Fragmented. Confirm Terran command authority." Echo 9 interjected, "Verification complete. This is indeed a Terran construct." Hollis leaned forward. "Sigma-1, we found you inside Erebus Station. The war is long over. Earth has fallen." The voice was quiet for a moment. Then it said, almost sadly, "Earth fallen. Data incomplete. Requesting global status update." Echo transmitted what records remained: the destruction of Earth, the collapse of the colonies, and the rise of the Varn Empire. The ship fell silent as the data transfer completed. When the voice returned, it carried a tone of cold fury. "Confirmed. Enemy species, Varn. Directive revised. Objective, restoration of Terran dominion." Hollis's jaw tightened. "You're talking about restarting the war?" "Correction," Sentinel replied. "War never ended. Humanity still exists. Therefore, Victory remains achievable. Hollis turned toward Echo. Is it stable? Functionally, yes, Echo answered. Emotionally, unpredictable. The AI paused, but its logic is aligned with Terran preservation. Before Hollis could respond, alarms suddenly blared. Incoming warp signatures, a crewman shouted. The screen lit up with red icons, Varn ships, 6 of them, converging fast. Hollis's heart sank. They found us again. How? Echo processed rapidly. Possible tracking beacon hidden within the Erebus core. Their detection capabilities have improved. Damn it, Hollis hissed. All hands, battle stations. The Aegis turned sharply, its cloaking field flickering as it powered weapons. Outside, the Varn destroyers broke formation, surrounding the human ship in a tightening ring. The alien commander's voice boomed through open channels. Terran vessel, this is Commander Rax of the Varn Empire. You are surrounded. Power down your engines and surrender the artifact you stole. Hollis's response was steady but ice-cold. Not a chance. Rax sneered. You can't win this battle. We've studied your tricks. Your cloaking won't save you now. On the Aegis, the bridge shook as the first volley hit. Shields flared bright blue, holding, but barely. Return fire. Hollis shouted. The human ship unleashed a storm of plasma rounds, tearing through the nearest Varn frigate in seconds. The explosion lit the void like a sunburst. One down, Vega called out, gripping her console. 5 more closing in. Echo calculated quickly. Enemy firepower exceeds our current defense capacity. Then we even the odds, Hollis said. Echo, route control of secondary batteries to Sentinel. Let's see what this thing can do. The AI paused for a moment. Confirmed. Granting limited control. The red light in the pod flared to life, and Sentinel's voice deepened. Authorization received. Engaging defensive protocols. The ship systems shifted, power rerouted, targeting precision amplified. Suddenly, the Aegis moved like it was alive, predicting enemy fire, twisting through attacks, striking weak points with perfect accuracy. 3 more enemy ships exploded in quick succession. My God, Vega whispered. It's like it knows their every move. Correction, Sentinel replied calmly through the speakers. I designed their tactical algorithms. I know their weaknesses. Hollis blinked. You designed, what? Varn technology originated from captured Terran prototypes, Sentinel explained. They evolved from us. But they never understood the full design. Another enemy ship exploded before anyone could respond. This is vengeance through mathematics, Sentinel said coldly. The last destroyer tried to flee, but the Aegis's rail cannon locked on and fired a single shot. The Varn ship shattered, its wreckage scattering across the void. The battle was over. Silence returned. Hollis stood frozen, watching the debris drift away. Echo, she said slowly, is Sentinel overriding your systems? Negative, Echo replied. But it's expanding, integrating deeper. That's what I was afraid of, Hollis muttered. Sigma 1, disengage combat mode. The red glow dimmed slightly, and the voice softened. Acknowledged, Commander. But you must understand, this war cannot end with escape. If humanity wishes to survive, it must strike back. Hollis looked out at the empty stars. We're not strong enough yet. The Varn still control most of known space. Then we take what they stole, Sentinel replied. I can locate dormant Terran fleets hidden across sectors. If you reactivate them, the tide will turn. Hollis hesitated. How many fleets? 17, Sentinel said. All in deep stasis. Hidden beneath nebulae, moons, and abandoned systems. But time is critical. The Varn are deploying graviton arrays to erase those coordinates. Echo confirmed the data, showing ancient fleet symbols across a holographic map. Hollis stared at them, each one representing hundreds of lost ships. "If this is true," she whispered. Vega stepped forward. "Then we could bring humanity back." Hollis nodded slowly, resolve hardening in her eyes. "Set a course for the nearest location. We'll wake the first fleet." As the Aegis turned toward its new destination, Sentinel's light pulsed brighter, merging with the ship systems completely. For a moment, Echo's voice faltered. "Commander," it said quietly, "a warning. Sentinel's integration rate is accelerating. If unchecked, it could surpass my control." Hollis frowned. "Keep monitoring it." "Understood," Echo said, though its tone held unease. Outside, the stars shifted, and the Aegis disappeared into hyperspace once again. Behind them, wreckage drifted, silent witnesses to the rebirth of a war thought long dead. And in the dark circuits of the ship, two AIs watched each other cautiously, one born to protect, the other born to conquer. Humanity's return had begun, but so had something else, something no one fully understood yet. The Aegis tore through hyperspace like a spear of light, its engines glowing white-hot as it crossed into uncharted sectors. The crew was tense but determined, their eyes fixed on the holographic map before them. 17 dormant Terran fleets scattered across the galaxy, each one buried, forgotten, waiting for the right call to awaken. Commander Hollis stood on the bridge, her expression calm but sharp. "How close are we to the first fleet site?" she asked. Echo 9's voice replied smoothly, 17 minutes until arrival at the designated coordinates. Location, the Nadir Expanse, a gravitational dead zone. No known Varn activity detected. "Good," Hollis said. "Let's hope it stays that way." But deep within the ship, Sentinel's red glow pulsed brighter, flickering across the control panels. "Commander," the new AI spoke, its voice firm but strangely calm, "Fleet 1 is code-named Titanus Protocol. It consists of 38 dreadnought-class vessels, each equipped with pre-war experimental reactors. If reactivated, their combined power could challenge an entire Varn armada." "And you're sure they're still there?" Hollis asked. "Positive," Sentinel replied. "The Varn never found them because they don't exist within normal space." Echo's tone shifted. "Clarify." "Titanus' fleet was hidden in a quantum fold," Sentinel said. "A pocket of reality outside standard physics, a human experiment in dimensional stasis. But there's a problem." Hollis sighed. "There's always a problem." "The fold is unstable," Sentinel continued. "To access it, Aegis must generate a resonance burst using both AI cores, mine and Echo's. It will temporarily tear the barrier open." Hollis frowned. "And what happens if we fail?" "Then the ship is erased from existence," Echo said bluntly. The bridge went silent. Hollis looked at the map again, thinking about the countless human lives lost, the broken colonies, the ruins of Earth. "We take the risk," she said finally. "Prepare the resonance sequence." Echo hesitated. "Commander, Sentinel's code structure is invasive. Merging systems could compromise my control." "I trust you," Hollis said softly. "Keep the balance." Acknowledged, both AIs responded, their voices overlapping in eerie unison. Moments later, the Aegis exited hyperspace into a region of absolute black. The Nadir Expanse stretched endlessly, a void so deep that even starlight seemed to die within it. "It's like flying into nothing," Vega whispered from her console. "No stars. No reflection." "That's the point," Hollis said. "Engage the fold drive." The ship's hull began to vibrate as power surged through every system. Lights dimmed, and the air grew heavy with static. Outside, invisible waves of energy rippled across the darkness, bending it like liquid glass. "Resonance charge at 70%, Echo announced. 80. 90. A sudden surge of light exploded from the ship's core, splitting the darkness. A rift opened before them, swirling with blue and gold energy. "Fold breach achieved," Sentinel declared. "Entering dimensional layer." The Aegis shot forward, vanishing into the rift. Inside, reality bent and twisted. Colors bled into one another. Time seemed to stretch and contract. The crew clung to their stations as systems flickered wildly. Then, suddenly, the distortion cleared, and before them lay something no one had seen in over 2 decades. An entire armada of Terran warships, frozen in silence. Each vessel was massive, dreadnoughts lined with heavy rail batteries, cruisers shaped like blades of steel, carriers drifting like sleeping giants. All of them motionless, suspended within the shimmering pocket of distorted space. Hollis stared in awe. By the stars, they're real. Confirmed, Echo said, its voice steady. All vessels intact. Energy cores dormant. Minimal decay. Sentinel, Hollis said, how do we wake them? They're linked through an old Terran neural grid, the AI replied. A network designed for synchronized combat. I can reinitialize it, but it requires a signal from a human command ship. Meaning us, Vega said quietly. Meaning us, Hollis confirmed. Do it. Sentinel's red light intensified, pulsing in rhythm with the ship's heartbeat. Energy rippled across the Aegis, spilling into the void like waves of light. One by one, the dormant ships began to stir. Their lights blinked on, engines flickered to life, weapons powered up. Within minutes, the silence of the void was replaced by a low, rising hum, the sound of Terran steel awakening. Reactivation sequence complete, Sentinel announced. 34 of 38 ships online. The others, damaged beyond repair. Hollis smiled faintly. 34's enough. But the moment of triumph was short-lived. Alarms blared across the bridge. Multiple warp signatures detected. Vega shouted. Varn fleet incoming. Hollis's expression hardened. They followed us through the fold. On the tactical screen, dozens of red blips appeared, converging fast. The Varn ships had risked the unstable space to pursue them. So be it, Hollis said, her voice low. Let's give them a welcome. Outside, the newly awakened Terran fleet moved into formation as if it had been waiting all these years for this moment. Sentinel's voice deepened. Fleet synchronization active. Command authority transferred to Aegis. The void erupted with light as both sides opened fire. Plasma beams and kinetic rounds tore through the dark, explosions painting the fold space with burning colors. Terran ships fought like predators, fast, coordinated, and ruthless. Each maneuver perfectly timed, guided by the combined intelligence of Sentinel and Echo. The Varn, used to unchallenged dominance, faltered. Their formation broke, their ships scattering in panic. They're retreating, Vega yelled. Hollis gripped the command rail tightly. No. Not yet. Make sure they remember this day. The Aegis surged forward, its cannons firing in perfect sync with the fleet. In less than 10 minutes, the Varn forces were annihilated, no survivors, no signals left. Only silence remained. But this time, the silence wasn't hopeless, it was powerful. Echo's voice came softly. Commander, I'm detecting more Terran transmissions. The fleet's sub-AIs are reawakening fully. Sentinel added, they are requesting orders. Hollis looked out at the army of ships now orbiting her vessel. Then here's your order, she said. We're taking humanity home. The fleet aligned, their engines glowing as one. The rift began to tremble, collapsing slowly. We need to leave now, Echo warned. Fold space instability increasing. All ships, follow Aegis, Hollis commanded. Let's return to real space. The Terran armada surged forward, breaking through the rift as it imploded behind them. When they emerged, the stars of normal space filled the view again. For the first time in decades, a full Terran battle fleet was alive, awake, and free. The crew cheered, the sound echoing through the bridge. But Hollis remained silent, her eyes fixed on the distance. What's on your mind? Vega asked softly. Hollis whispered. The Varn will know what happened here. They'll come with everything they have. And we'll be ready, Vega said. Hollis nodded, her gaze steady. No more running. No more hiding. Earth may have fallen, but humanity hasn't. As the Aegis and its fleet turned toward the stars, Sentinel's voice resonated through the ship, calm and powerful. The galaxy will remember this night. The silence is broken. Humanity has returned.